Alright, I'm back. Had to go deal with a piece of equipment and back. And I'm tired of screwing around. This Jim's tool don't work, so fix it. So went ahead and took it apart. And as expected, Jim's quality sucks. So this here is the plunger that goes up and down. Now this should be a nice machined round plunger that sits in there real nice and round and smooth. See how smooth it is? And I don't know if you can see all the high spots on this thing. There you go, that might help. See how far out around it is? Look how the reflection of light is. This thing's got massive out around condition going on. That's why it doesn't work for squat. So if we measure it with a caliper, which we're not really catching very much, you're not catching a caliper hides stuff. Well, there's a low spot right there. We drop down to 1.5 thou. 2. That's on that side. This side up here we're at 5. So we got 4 thou of taper, a couple thou around, and those flat spots in there are bigger than that. I just can't measure it. So I'm going to knock this pin out, which basically is flush with the surface here, so I can re-copy it. So I'm just going to take a nut here and stick it on here on the shoulder. Right here, the light's needed now. There it is. I'll stick this on the back side here to support it. It should be able to knock the pin out. Of course, it's going to be interesting doing it, but what the hell. Someone got me another punch. Let's see how tight this is in there. Not too bad. Okay, pins out. Looks like it was held in with red Loctite. You can see the residue on there. It's probably loose. Okay, now I'm going to attempt to hold this in my lathe and give this a very small cut and try to true it up. So we'll go over there and try that. We'll be back. Alright, we're back. I had to figure out a way of doing this. I came up with a hokey method to hold it. So I use my vertical mill, use a collet, 3/16 collet on a 200 thou diameter, it's a little off, but it held. And I use my external hone, my bigger one, and my valve one. So I was able to spin it in the lathe, or in the mill here, and hold on to this, just like a lathe would do it. So that was able to spin this around with an ultra fine finish on it. So you can see the hone marks in there. I think losing light makes it worse. Put that back on again. So anyway, you can see it's pretty far out around. So typical quality stuff. Doesn't matter how much you pay for good quality crap. They got some moron making the stuff, some genius. That's what you get for quality. So of course I'm going to say it's my fault. It's all my fault. I bought it. Okay, here now it's not sticking like it was. See, that thing's been screwing me for years. I'm tired of dealing with it, so fix it. Okay, so now we got to put the pin back in it. Now they had Loctite on this, so it's probably this piece of crap mineral. So yeah, pretty much. So I'm gonna get me a little Loctite. I think I'm gonna use green instead of red. A little extra holding power for the high vibration of the press working. So take a little Loctite, a little dab on that, smear it around a little bit on there. Should be enough. Stick it in there. Just beat it down until it's flush. Heard the hard hit. That means you're done. Shoot that out of the way. Okay, so now this tool is back together like it's supposed to be. Take a little spring here. Should work good. Lubricate with a little CRC or a little oil. Probably a little oil would be better. What we got laying around here? This ought to be good stuff. Marvel Mystery Oil, disguised as air tool oil. We'll go with that. A little bit right there. So, put a little drops on there is all it really takes. Okay. Take my rag and wipe that off because there was honing activity going on that. So any grit in there. So wipe that back off. So get another finger dab full. Put on there. Okay, that should be lifetime lubricated now. We'll see. Just for the hell, I'll put a little bit on the pin. So it goes inside the hole here. We'll go ahead and smear a little bit of that fancy oil in there too. Drop it in the hole. Ooh, and it still sticks. Great. Popped up though. Ugh. Break it in a little bit, I guess. Ah! Don't stick the pin up your finger, it hurts. Alright, we'll put this back together over here. I'm assuming that's how it goes back together. Yeah, it hurts the finger when you jam the pin up it. So you just got the little plastic screws here on the back side. Standard machine shop stuff. If you lose them, go into your like MSC catalog and buy some, or Granger. Still just paying 20 bucks a piece from gyms. Probably get them for $1 a piece or less. Alright, so maybe now my tool will work. Not bother me so much. Okay, let's see if it works. Still sticks a little bit. Tap it comes up though. So I guess I gotta hold it a little bit more if I don't want it to stick at all. It's almost working. At least now it's usable. I'll probably get pissed off and do it again. That happens. Alright, back to where we started. Okay, I'm going to put the old gear back on the cam to double check to see if I'm doing this right. Because I didn't like where it came out at. Alright, first thing I do is put this thing roughly back where it goes. Just to kind of get me in the ballpark. Get the cam gear over here. Stick it on the pin. Okay. Down the pin all the way in. Rotate that until it's in the right spot. Should be somewhere in there. Ain't that nice and loose. Yeah, what kind of accuracy do you want? Give or take a quarter of a turn. It's obviously not repeating back where it should be. Wonderful. Okay. Gotta line everything all up. I was off center, not concentric, so it didn't work. Okay, after you put it line up, go ahead and mark it over your 3.5 degrees of error, or advance in this case. Okay, so I got locked in at 3.5 degrees now. Got the cam in there to center it. Set screws are tight. This kind of pops back up a little bit. Now I come back with my cam. Still got a little jiggle jiggle. I don't know how they call that dead accurate, but either way, it's not, the line's not lined up. I put it in closer than that. So that means we're not repeating worth a squat. Now that could be me, or the tool, or both of us. Yeah, that's probably what it really is. My guess is I'm doing something wrong. It looks like I'm a tooth off. Maybe I was on the wrong side of the tooth. I thought I was on the right side. Maybe I was on the left side of the tooth. That would be the problem. See, now the mark lines up perfectly where it belongs. So instead of being on the left side of the tooth, the mark's right here where my finger is. I was on this side, I could be on this side. Okay, so now that I figure out where my screw up was. Now if I read the directions, that might have helped. So instead of being on this position here, we're going to be on the next side. So take that out, come back in, stick it in there. See, sometimes the instructions actually help you. What I don't like is see all this free play having the cam. See, that's kind of where it decided to want to jiggle to stop. So I'm going to press it in right there. Alright. That looks a lot better now. So now the mark looks like it's where it belongs. That's why you mark things. But don't read the instructions. That's cheating. Okay, this mark here looks like it lines up good there. That one lines up with that. So I think we might have it in the right spot. Couldn't 100% guarantee it, but probably 99.9999% sure it is correct. Okay, now we get to go find out if it actually fits in the bike. That'll be the fun part. So this one's 4 thou less than stock, or less than the diameter it was, the old one. So if we're lucky, we might be able to put a cam cover on the bike today. Okay, first thing I do is find our thrust washers here. Remember, flat side goes to back. Okay, let's go ahead and time it like we really mean it. There's the mark at. There it is way over there. There's that one. Okay, thrust washers and where it belongs. Marks are all lined up like they're supposed to be. See, the two right there. Breather's over here. So, oh, that looks good. Now let's see if it's actually going to fit. Gasket's on there. And of course, it still does not want to go on. That is a little snug. And it finally went on though. Okay. So that cam's either really, really tight or the thrust washer's tight. I'm thinking the thrust washer might be a little tight right now. Let's see here. It is not the thrust washer. That would have been too easy. Oh, the stupid gasket fell out. That's always nice. Yeah, that thing is a little snug in there. Put the gasket over where it belongs. Stupid ass gasket ain't worth a squat. Okay, looks like it's back where it belongs. Cam's on it. Put our new screws to try out. At least the screws work. Yep, screws work. At least we know something works correctly on this motor. Alright. Now, how tight is this going to be? It's snug. It's tight there. It's tight over here, and then it gets tighter right there. That's real tight right there. Over here it's just kind of light drag, then it gets heavier, and it drags real heavy again. So the pinion gear itself is out of round. That's what's going to cause that, because it's tight every time around. So it's locking up. If it was the cam gear, it would be, you have to go 2 turns around before you hit the high spot. Alright, so this is definitely snug. Here's our loose spot right there. I wouldn't exactly call it loose. Can actually move the cam a little bit. Okay, check my in play. Got good in play on the cam. Could probably pull out 5. There's the breather back and forth, so that's good. So at least the in plays are good. I've got something going for us. But everything else pretty well just sucks. So this is the smallest cam gear I've got. And I don't feel like playing with that pinion gear. So we have lots of issues. So this is just like the last one of these stupid Evo motors I worked on. I think it was the same late model crank too. I've already put the smallest gear I have in here, so the next option is to lap the teeth in, which is a nice messy job that I don't really want to do, because it's going to be hard to clean all the goo out of the motor. If there's any lapping caught on the motor, it's going to destroy the motor in short order. Definitely not good. Okay, let's see if I can get this out of here. There we go. I was in a loose part there. Now, you can see it's transferring the brown onto the teeth in the tight spot areas. See, every other time around it gets tight again. Tight, 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 loose, 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 tight, loose again, real tight. So you can see how it's going just like it feels. Straight up. Alright, so I really don't want to do this. It's either this or change out the pinion gear, which can very easily knock the crank out of true. I know it'll knock it out of true, it's just a matter how much. So, I don't feel like splitting the cases again to fix everything, because I got to pull the whole stinking motor apart to do that stunt. So I think we're going to go the lapping route. Let's see, what grit? We got 80 grit. That's real coarse. Let's see, what's this one? This one's 50 grit. That's even coarser. Let's see, what's this one? This one's 120 grit. That's pretty good. So I'm thinking somewhere between 80 and 120 is going to be the magic number. So what's the numbers here? See, 120 is down here on the coarse side, 80s on the low side of the coarse, and 50s very coarse. They do make a 36 though for the really coarse stuff. Alright, so we're going to use the 120. If that doesn't work, we'll put a little bit of the coarse 80 on there. So this is nice and messy stuff. First thing you want to do is don't use the same towels you clean everything else with when you're dealing with lapping compound. So I'm going to get a paper towel. Just like having ink on your fingers, everything you touch becomes contaminated. So remember that when you're dealing with lapping compound. So if you don't want it to be all screwed up, get it out of the way. So that means if we're not using it, let's get it out of the way so we don't transfer any unwanted mess anywhere. Okay. So we're only going to keep the tools that matter around. Now I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of oil on the shaft here, because we will have a load on it. Put a little bit on the cam also. Now, seeing we're going to be doing this by hand, we're not going to transfer a lot of grit throughout the motor here. It will be splattered around inside the case cavity in here though a little bit. So we're going to have to live with that. So we'll have to figure out we're going to clean that out without putting the oil pump gear. There's a hole right there that feeds the pump. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to plug that hole up with some paper. Because if it gets into the pump, I'm screwed. Okay. So that just, let's blow this up so you can see in here a little bit. So you can see the paper right down in there. I plugged that hole up. So I can't put anything in here because the gear is going to chew it up as I turn it. So we can't do that. Okay, so now we're going to take our lapping compound. Now you want to make sure you put on the same teeth you're going to use. You put your washers in here so it wears in the same spot, because everything does matter. See, I'm going to have this in and out a lot of times. I'm going to go ahead and mark this too so I know where the timing mark is. There you go, and I'll mark it here too. I can see it there also. It just makes it easier for me to find it. Okay, there's what your lapping compound looks like inside. The oil's not mixed anymore, so it's not quite as clean as it could be. So I'm going to take a screwdriver, kind of mix it up a little bit in here. If it's too dry, it won't work. If it's too loose, it just sprays everywhere and doesn't work either. Can's been sitting for a few years since I've used it. So I used to do a lot of lapping on my lapping plate behind me here, but I found out that it doesn't always work very good. Machining was more accurate, so I pretty well quit lapping. I only occasionally use it now. Okay, so now we got all our lapping compound mixed up on everything. Leave that nice coarse junk. Wipe your fingers off on the paper towel, not your rag. Smear it around a little bit. So you don't need a lot of it in there because it's going to go through everything when you start rotating. Oops. See, I just put it over here on my finger in the lobe. So you'll wipe it off that lobe. We don't want it anywhere near that lobe. So before it becomes a mess, wipe it off. Get yourself a nice even coat on here. Doesn't have to be super even, but a little bit helps. Alright, that should be good enough for a first go at it. Now the screwdriver handle's all full of grit. My hand's full of grit. And the cam's got some grit. So first thing I'm going to do is clean my hand off so I can touch other stuff and not get it full of grit. I'm going to take this screwdriver, the handle is full of grit, I'm going to wipe it off. That way we don't transfer more grit. Get the screwdriver cleaned up also. Okay. So we got this screwdriver cleaned up pretty good. This towel's become pretty dirty though. So I got another clean one. To make sure I get all the grit off my hands and all the grit off my tool. That way it will transfer. See, no grit. Okay, keep your area clean because it's like this stuff does transfer pretty quickly. Get this stuff out of the way. Okay. Damn it. So I just tucked the can by the teeth. Which put grit all over my hands. Again. Clean again. See, normally I don't touch the cam gear. I don't touch the cam loads. I like to pick it up by the gear. Right over here. And the problem is I picked it up by the gear teeth like I always do, and that's the gooey part right now. So now I got to pick it up by the lobes, and we'll pick it up by the snout. Okay, here's our mark. Get another mark over here. Missed it by one. Missed it by another one the other way. There we go, right on the money that time. Okay, so the marks are lined up. Get the oil off my fingers. And we put the cam cover on it. Oh, I have the gasket. Lines up perfectly fine, see? There it goes. I don't want to just beat it on because that screws up the end of the bush. Put some tools away here for a minute. Got too many tools all over the building. Okay, wipe my hands off, get all the oil and junk off. Okay. I'm going to put 3 screws in at least, probably 4. 4 should be enough. Okay. Now we get to turn this over about 1,000,000 times, and we need to keep our fingers out of these studs, which is fine. Now you notice that it doesn't want to rotate right now. That's because it's got grit in the teeth. Plus it's tight. Gets tiring real quick. Probably got to do this about 500 or 600 times before we're done for the day. already getting the lapping compound wearing in. Okay, I mean, I need to stop and go backwards to get the back side of the teeth also. Tight spot. Try not to bang the rods against the case too many times. Of course, that's going to be fun to do. Okay, go back forward direction. Harden your fingers. Okay, you can look in here a little bit and see what the teeth look like. And it looks like there's a good layer of lapping compound on everything. Pull the camera out and show you. There you go. Let's see if you can get in there and see that area. So you can see the lapping compound on the teeth there. The other gears down there. And when you rotate that, they just go around in a circle. Hit the camera in the lens, that's good. So, anyway, that's how that works. So, you can see how the grit is staying pretty much on the cam gears. There'll be some light overspray I'm going to have to clean up, but hopefully not too much of a mess. But, alright, well, you get the gist of this. This is going to be a nice long hour or so of doing this. At least a half hour lapping. And I'll probably take this off on and put some new lapping compound on it because it's already getting broken a little bit. And do it 2 or 3 times. So, anyway, I'm sure you don't want to watch all this, so we'll come back later when I'm more tired. That's it for now.